What's up, guys? Welcome to round number 10 of the season number 2 of the Output Racing League, live here from the Richmond Raceway in Richmond, Virginia. As we can see, we've got a few cars out here on track already. Things are already starting to heat up. We got Dylan Canova in a 70 car so far, topping the timesheets with a 21.111. Right behind him, just 0.05 of a second back, is Steve Turner. As we can see, a great battle on screen right now between the 12 and the 4 of Matt Burgess and Jaron Sanchez. These guys may only be practicing, but they're practicing hard. Looks like Jaron got into the wall off turn 2 there. So hopefully he can fix himself with that later on. Alright guys, we're going to go for a quick little drive in the car in the number 65 Output Racing League Aussie Sim commentator car. So I can show you guys around the track a little bit. Alright, so you've got a very slow pit speed limit here, 64 kilometers an hour, which I'm pretty sure is somewhere in the range of 35 miles an hour. Very tight pit exit. You can get loose here, so it's good not to push too hard. As we'll let Dalton go in that fantastic looking 7 car. That looks absolutely amazing under lights. So this is one track where you're really going to be rolling on your brakes. You're going to be relying quite heavily on them. Turn 2 exit is going to be a hot spot. A lot of cars already in this practice session have gone up and hit it, myself included. And it looks like also the exit of turn 4. You can see the low line is the place to be, but later on as the race gets going, that higher line could come in a little bit. You don't want to be getting up that high because that's when stuff starts going bad. You can see Steve on the inside there doing a bit of a burnout. At least I think that was Steve. There's Jaron, he's just come off the wall again. There's a tight entrance to pit road too, so we're going to go do a pit road entry, but we're not even going to go into the pits. We're going to go do our own burnout and we're going to blow the engine up. So I'm sure Jaron doesn't mind funding me a new engine for a little bit of entertainment. So you want to get on the brakes a little bit earlier than you would, gear down, make sure you get down to that pit speed limit. But we're going to go here along the access road to where the victory lane would be. And we're going to do a burnout. Alright guys, as I said, some places to keep an eye on throughout the race will be the exit of turn 2, the exit of turn 4 and the braking zone into turn 1. We should see many dive bombs into turn 1, especially early, if people aren't going to be patient. Alrighty, there goes the engine, guys.
Yeah, I can see from here that something's obviously broken. Just see if you can hang in there, stay out. Oh yeah, I can see from here that that's the terminal. Bring it on.
As my spotter is going absolutely nuts, please ignore him. And let's go have a look at who's on track. We've got Thomas Harmon on track, currently in the 5th position with a 21.155. And he's now moved himself up into 4th with a 139. Can he improve again? No, not quite. Just a couple tenths off, and he has just been beaten in a lap as well by Jaron Sanchez, doing a 21.082. to put himself into the second position. Let's go have a look at Matt Burgess, currently sitting in P4 with a 21.126. Looks like he is right on the pace. He's been secretly practicing when no one's been watching him. And he's just moved himself up into third with a 21.085, pushing Steve Turner down to fourth. As we're now going to go have a look at Tommy Bordeaux, who has not laid a lap down yet, so it'll be interesting to see what kind of a lap he can do. And he puts himself on the board in fifth with a 21.125. He'll be looking at improving that. He shuffles Thomas back down into sixth. Let's go have a look at what Jaren's up to now. He's still currently in P2 with a 21.082. And he does a 21.229 on that lap, as we saw a car spin right in front of him. We're now going to go have a look at the 70 car as he's coming into the pits. No, he's not going to show us how he gets onto the pits. We're going to go watch the 41 coming out of the pits now. We'll go back to our standard cameras. So Brandon Bennett's currently down in the 7th position. He'll be looking to improve a little bit on this lap. And he does a 21.228, which keeps him down in 7th. Looks like he's going to abort the next lap and continue on another time. We're going to go have a look at the 12 of Matt Burgess, now currently up in P3 with a 21.066. His last lap was a 21.163. This one is a nothing. This must have been his out lap. So let's see what kind of a lap time he can do. He's got Tommy Bordeaux coming out in front of him. Might balk him a little bit, might not. And Matt Burgess does a 21.256, which keeps him in third at the moment, as Tommy got very loose in front of him. Must have come off the wall there. As we're now focused on the 4 of Jaren Sanchez. Let's go and have a look at how Jaren does from his left front suspension. Gets into the wall coming off a 2. And he pulls out of it. We're going to go have another look at Tommy Bordeaux. We're going to watch this one from his nose. Oh, he got loose. Tapped the wall. Oh, that hurt. That was inside wall there. I could feel that one from the booth. So now we're back on the 12. And then we swap over to the 41. Let's watch the 41, see how he does. In case anyone was wondering at all, the strength of field is a 2280 out of 12 cars, which includes myself and one person who hasn't laid a lap. So Brandon crosses the line there for a 21.250. He's still down in the 6th position, ahead of Thomas Harmon, who's in 7th. So it looks like we've got a few cars doing just qualifying runs at the moment. As we see quite a few cars here heading back out onto the track. As we're going to follow the 7 car here, as he comes out behind the 42 of Dylan Alt, last week's winner, albeit in controversial circumstances. Now this young Dalton in the 7 car, he's only new to iRacing. He's only been racing a week or two. He's already in A class with a 1778 I rating. That lap was a 21.739, which keeps him down in 10th position, unfortunately. And Dylan Alt, for his first lap in, comes in with a 21.165, putting him up into the 8th position. Looks like Dalton here has got to get a little bit more used to the car before he can start putting out some good times. As we focus on the Output Racing number 4 of Jaron Sanchez, the Aussie Sim commentator on the hood. His last lap was a 21.339. Now don't get fooled by the night time, everyone. We are actually going to be starting the race in sunset. Due to the new day-night feature that iRacing has brought out, we're going to be starting this race in the dusk and ending it in the dark. Jaron looks like he got a little bit loose coming off of turn 2 there. See what kind of lap he gets from it. And he does a 21.655, which keeps him in 5th position because that's about 6 tenths off of his fastest there. As we see Thomas going for a big spin there on the infield. We're going to go back to focusing on crashes, and it puts us onto the 7 car, which is Dalton Cowden. We're now looking at some of these cars coming out of the pits. Let's focus on the 38 of Thomas Harmon as he's slotted in behind Jaron there. Swings up high to get a little bit more speed and momentum off the corner, try and get a fast lap going. He goes for that slightly higher line in again for a lower exit to stay away from that wall. And he is hounding the back of Jaron. Jaron is on slightly older tyres compared to Thomas. And Thomas has just done a 21.108, which keeps him down in 7th. And we have a new fastest lap for the session by Tommy Bordeaux, a 20.988. That's the only car who is in the 20s at the moment. And he dethrones Dylan Canova from the 1st position into 2nd. And he followed up that lap with a 21.050. And we see Thomas is still struggling a little bit, down in 7th position. So we're going to go back to focusing on crashes for a little bit and just let iRacing dictate where the camera is going to be, which at the moment is on the 12 car of Matt Burgess. And now we're on the 4 of Jaron Sanchez, taking the high line, trying to get that run going. And there's a 70 of Dylan Canova on the outside of the 12 of Matt Burgess. Dylan's got the run on the inside of Matt. Matt just let him have it for quite an easy pass. I think Matt might be trying out the long run. We've got a little bit over 13 minutes left in this practice session. Oh, as we see Thomas Harmon and Jaron Sanchez going for a bit of spin coming off the turn 4. Looks like Jaron might have washed up into Thomas. Oh, as we see the 70 of Dylan Canova getting loose off of turn 2, smashing that inside wall. Might have to get him checked out by the EMTs. That one looked like a bit of a hard impact. Oh, and the 7 and the 13 have gotten into it. I'm not sure what happened there. But that's ended with Dalton being on his roof. And Steve had a broken engine. As you see Dylan Alt coming out now in the 42 car. Currently in the 2nd position. It's on the outside of Jaron. Let's see if he can make that run going. Jaron's on slightly older tyres than Dylan. You can see that new tyre OP. As Jaron gets loose off of 2, just about collects the back of Dylan. Decides it's wiser to just pull out, go to the pits and try again. You see Steve get loose off turn 4, go for a spin through the grass. And it looks like Thomas Harmon's gone for a spin off of turn 2 as well. Everyone's managed to miss him. As I said, that is going to be one of the big trouble spots that will prevent us from having a green flag run. Alright guys, I'm just going to leave you with the sights and the sounds of these B cars here at Richmond for a little bit. And I'll be right back fairly shortly. Alrighty, at this time it is my pleasure to introduce our commentating partner, Brogan Pickett Norris. Brogan, mate, how are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. How was everybody out there in YouTube land?
Well, I know I'm doing pretty alright. I'm excited for some short track saltiness here. How has your week been, man?
Oh yeah, it's hit its ups and downs, but we'll just carry on trucking on.
Well, that's all we can do at the end of the day. As you see, Tommy is still on the top of the totem pole with a 20.988 now. Dylan Alt is a very close second place with a 21.006. Tommy is still the only one in the 22nd bracket. And on his last lap, he just did a 21.297. But right on his tail is the 7 of Dalton Cowden. Rookie to the series this week, but an absolute professional in the way that he runs his car. I'm not sure if you know this, Brogan, but that 7 car, the driver has only been on iRacing for a couple of weeks. He's already a 1778 A-class racer.
That is pretty damn good.
As you see the 70 of Dylan Canova going for a spin there, currently in P3 with a 21.015. He was just about to start his hot lap and got it all wrong coming off of turn 4. I see the 3 of Jay Shallington now going for a spin coming off of turn 2. He's currently in the 11th position, but we won't take that away from him there. This is a tough track to get a handle on and run well. So these guys running in the very low 21s and even the 20s, they are something special, and that is for sure. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Had a slight little technical hitch there. As we see the 42 of Dylan Alt getting loose coming off of turn 4. Right in front of the 13 of Steve, who gets loose into turn 1. Got onto the brakes a little bit hard there. As we're in the last 6 minutes of practice now, everyone is working on qualifying runs at this time. See Dylan still currently in P2. He's coming out to try and see if he can improve his time. A little bit of useless information out of the 14 cars who are in this race, including Brogan and myself. The strength of field is a 21.13. As we see the 3 car of Jay Shallington there going through 1 and 2. We've also got the 42 of Dylan Alt coming back out onto the track. Jay is still struggling for pace a little bit. He's in the mid-21s as far as his fastest lap. I hope he can improve a little bit. As we see Dylan Alt lower his time by 2 1,000ths of a second to a 21.004. Still just can't quite make it into that 22nd bracket. 4 minutes left in this practice session. Every little bit of qualifying practice you can get is crucial. It's all about getting that clean piece of track so you can work on getting that fast time. See, Thomas Harmon is also making his way back out onto the track, but we're focused on Jay Shallington right now. In fact, we're going to go and watch Thomas a little bit here, see how Thomas gets on. As he starts his hot lap now. Comes across the line with a 21.178, which does not improve his position. He's currently stuck down in P7. Let's see what he can do on lap number 2. Gets a 21.094, which is faster than his previous, but still not good enough to improve. We're going to go back and focus on Steve now, who's just about to finish his first flying lap. He gets a 21.139. I think I saw a Jaron Sanchez doing a burnout coming out of the pits. In his Output Racing Aussie Sim commentator number 4 car. And there goes his engine, ladies and gentlemen. As we see, Steve Turner has now gone to the top of the tables with a 21.980, just taking the first position by 0.008 of a second with 1 minute and 3/4 left in the session. Steve's going to celebrate with a burnout in the pits. Now with the new day-night transition, it means that qualifying is actually going to be held in the sunlight, with the sun going down. And then we're going to be starting the race in dusk and ending it in the darkness. The last minute of this practice session, we're just going to focus on whatever iRacing thinks is the most exciting, which at the moment is the 42 car Dylan Alt, coming out to do his last couple of flying laps for his qualifying practice. And there's also Thomas Harmon, who's looking to improve a little bit on his time. And Dylan Alt's just gone to the top of the table with a 20.966. He has just absolutely dethroned Steve and Tommy, as Thomas improves up to 5th position with a 21.02. You see Dylan's coming out for another run at it now, see if he can beat his time. As it stands at the moment, we've got Dylan Alt in first with a 29.966, Steve Turner in second, Tommy Bordeaux in third, Dylan Canova in fourth, Thomas Harmon fifth, Jaron Sanchez sixth, Matt Burgess in seventh, Brandon Bennett in eighth, Travis Massia in ninth, Dalton Cowden in 10th, and Jay Shallington in 11th. Another low car count. Hopefully we can start improving on that, as that is the end of practice right there. We're going to go for a quick little break, guys, and when we come back, we will be having the cars on the grid. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Aussie Sim Commentator channel. We are about to go racing here at Richmond. We have our grid set. It looks like the day-night settings didn't reload, so we're going to be starting in darkness and finishing in darkness. On the pole with a 20.990, we have Thomas Harmon. On his outside will be the 57 of Tommy Bordeaux. On row 2, we're going to have the 12 of Matt Burgess, and on his outside, the 42 of Dylan Alt. In P5, we're going to have the 70 of Dylan Canova, and on his outside, the 17 of Travis Massier. In the 7th position, we're going to have the 13 of Steve Turner, and on his outside, the 41 of Brandon Bennett. In P9, what a surprise at the back, we've got the 4 of Jaron Sanchez, and on his outside in 10th is Robert Collins. In P11, we have Jay Shallington, and then coming off of the last position, which is quite a surprise considering all the hype he's got, the 7 car of Dalton Cowden. It should be a great race, guys. I'm expecting big things, and maybe even a little bit of short track saltiness. So it should be very exciting. As the field starts to roll off now. Around here, because it's such a short lap, the pace car's going around 2 times before we go green, which means the light will be out right now as we get ready to go hard for 90 laps here at Richmond. Hello to the guys in the YouTube chat. Glad you guys can be here supporting this video. Don't forget to give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and put the bell on to find out when we are going live next as the pace car pulls in. And we are going green here at Richmond. Green flag is out in the air. We've got a little bit of checkup already back in the field a little bit. A little bit of nose to tail contact back there, but it looks like things are all right at the moment as Thomas Harmon takes a commanding lead straight away. Tommy has taken... Tommy is in the 2nd position, and right behind him is Matty Burgess in the 3rd. As we go back to focus on Dylan Alt a little bit, he is on a battle with the 70 car. Oh, and a little bit of wash up there. Dylan was a little bit affected by that. He's got Steve on his inside. These guys had a little bit of bad blood last week. What will Steve do? Steve racing clean, or will Steve get a little bit of revenge? Looks like so far so good. Steve's racing him nice and clean and proper. Oh, Matt Burgess is gone.
2 and 2.
But because he spun to the infield there will be no caution. He continues on, but he's going to have to get that fixed fairly soon because that will affect his engine. Oh, that is such a shame for Matt, going from 3rd to last. As we go back to looking at our leader now, Thomas Harmon in the 38. He's been pestered on his bumper by the 57 of Tommy Bordeaux. And I must agree there, Monkey Wrench Garage, that 38 paint scheme is absolutely immaculate.
Been looking amazing out there every week that he's raced.
Oh, and we see he gets into the wall and goes for a spin. Oh, Thomas has gone a gutser. And he's spun down to the infield. He's got some heavy left side damage there, but again, no caution as he spun down to the infield there.
And Tommy had nowhere to go, obviously, from that, and he's lucky to not have as much damage as Thomas got.
Well, Tommy actually got into the wall as well there. I think it might have been a little bit of monkey see, monkey do, which is a common trait in oval racing. But as we can see, Tommy Bordeaux has taken over the lead now. We've also got the 13 of Steve Turner in P2 right behind him. In P3, we had the 42 of Dylan Alt. P4 is currently the 70 of Dylan Canova. P5 is the 17 of Travis Massier. And looks like behind them, we've got the 4 of Jaron Sanchez, the 41 of Brandon Bennett, the 2 of Robert Collins, and the 7 of Dalton Cowden. As we're going to go back and have a look at how Tommy's doing up front. This top 3 is very close together. I knew we were expecting action from this race, but I didn't think we'd be getting it that quickly. It looks like Dylan might be trying to make a move on Steve shortly for that second position. As I said last week, these guys had a little bit of bad blood. Dylan says that he didn't have a spotter. Steve thinks he was just a little bit hard done by, but we'll see how things transpire between these two throughout the race. And even
he had the spotter turned on this time.
Well, I think he might have learned his lesson from last week. You see, Dylan is trying to look for a way around Steve, which is not easy. Steve is one of the hardest guys to pass, especially on a short track. The fastest time for the last lap completed was done by Tommy Bordeaux at a 21.393. These guys are a couple of tenths off his pace, so Tommy's going to start skipping away here for a little bit. And just as I say that, Tommy must have had a horrible lap. He lost a couple of tenths there to Steve, who got the fastest lap with a 21.478. As we're going to go back through the field a little bit here, see if we've got any battles going on. Going to have a look at the 70. He looks like he is all by himself. Going to have a look at the 17, who is rapidly dropping. He must have gotten into the wall there on the exit of turn 4. He has lost a lot of position. That is the 8th place Dalton coming up to take that 7th position. You see Jaron has got a little bit of space in front and behind. Brandon Bennett right behind him. Looks like the 2 of Robert Collins is all by himself at the moment as well. As we go back to our leading pack, it looks like Dylan's starting to fall back behind Steve a little bit as Tommy starts getting towards the back of Thomas Harmon to put him a lap down, which is quite the surprise. I never thought in my professional career that I'd ever say that Thomas is about to get put a lap down.
And it still looks like his car is quite damaged too, so...
Well, I don't think he's used his fast repair yet. I think he just went in to get a little bit of the damage fixed and get some new tyres on it. But that's the beauty of short track racing. You can have some absolute heaps after being involved in several crashes, be out there and still be competitive. So Thomas could be in for some good results later on. As we start coming up here, we've just completed lap 21 of 90. The lead that Tommy has over Steve is just a mere 0.6 of a second. Steve is right there, and so is Dylan right behind Steve still. Although Dylan's just gotten into the wall coming off of turn 4, he's just lost a bucket load of speed and time. Now
And he just went into the wall again.
Now don't forget, right behind him is Thomas. These guys had quite the controversial moment in the last race. And Thomas had actually forgotten about it until it was mentioned in the Discord. So it'll be interesting to see what transpires from Thomas being behind Dylan. It looks like Dylan is starting to pull away from Thomas a little bit. Looks like that damage that Thomas has is really affecting his speed as Dylan gets into the wall again. I think Dylan's starting to lose the handle on his car. The tyres might be starting to feel a little bit second hand. Let's go have a quick little look back in the pack a little bit. Let's see what everyone's up to. So the 70 still by himself. We've got the 41 being pestered by Jaron in the 4. So let's have a look at how these guys get on for a little bit. Jaron's been keen to make some position up after starting back in 8th position.
Maybe he's trying to get that hard charger a little too.
That would not surprise me, because Jaron's one that has one under his belt. Having another one will put him in a good position to win the end of season bonus for the hard charger. But at the moment, the hard charger would actually go to the 7 of Dalton Cowden, who is currently in P7 after starting from 12th. And it looks like the 3 of Jay might have just come out of the pits there. As we're going to go back to having a look at Tommy in the lead of this race. Absolutely commanding lead that Tommy has. And it looks like we've got a few cars going in to make pit stops here at lap 30. Either that or they are just at risk of going a lap down, which would involve the 3 of Jay and the 12 of Matt Burgess. Looks like we've still got Steve in 2nd and Dylan in 3rd as well. Dylan is in no man's land all by himself at the moment. And you see Jay there quite wisely just gets off the gas a little bit to let the 57 of Tommy Bordeaux go by. He also let Steve by as well, as to not hamper Steve either. And times have certainly started to drop off. Everyone is in the 22-second bracket now. And the next person at risk of going a lap down is indeed the 12 of Matt Burgess. Currently 15 seconds behind the leading car of Tommy, which will put him just 12 seconds away from being at risk of going a lap down. It looks like our leading pair of Tommy and Steve have started to speed up a little bit. They're both back down into the 21-second bracket, albeit with 21.9s. We might start seeing some strategy play coming into this soon, with people pitting for better tyres. But at the moment it looks like everyone's being calm and collected and trying not to collect the wall. So we're going to go for an angle that's got a little bit of a tighter shot on all the cars, and we're going to go past and see how everyone looks as we have a look at the 57 Mustang of Tommy Bordeaux with a TommyBordeaux.com on the car. We're going to go back and have a look at Steve in the 13. It's a very patriotic scheme here. Always a very nice looking car. And go back to have a...
rolls out of the truck with a very nice car.
He does indeed. Now we're going to go have a look at the 42 car here. I'm not actually sure what his sponsorship is. I'll have to ask him about it one day. But it definitely looks pretty nice as well. A little bit dented on that right side from those couple of times he's been in the wall. Gonna go have a look at the 70 now, who also has some right side damage. He's been getting friendly with the wall. And we have a caution for Dylan Alt. The 42 car has just spun from the 3rd position. Now, because this has just happened, we can just rewind it and have a look. And he was another victim of turn 2. A lot of people will be singing his praises for bringing out the caution there. As we see the leaders starting to go into the pits. I expect everyone will be making a pit stop. Brandon Bennett looks like he stayed out because he wants to try and get that leading a lap bonus points. I see Steve is bump drafting Tommy in through the pits there. It looks like Jay was just put a lap down, so he is the lucky dog for this caution. He'll go and get his lap back, which keeps Thomas Harmon 1 lap down. As we see Brandon starting to make his way into the pits now. With Thomas, and also with the 17 of... Actually, no, that's not the 17. Yeah, it is the 17. 17 of Travis Massier. As we go back to have a look at how things have rolled out for our leading pack. It looks like the 13 of Steve Turner has actually assumed the lead of this race. I'm not sure what's happened to Tommy, but he has dropped a ton of positions. In fact, he is still in the pits. I'm not sure if this is a strategy plan or what, but Yeah, he has dropped very far back into the 6th position. So as the cars start rolling across the line, my timing and scoring monitor will start to update and we'll be able to get a clearer picture of where everyone is. Got the 13 of Steve Turner, then the 70 of Dylan Canova, the 4 of Jaron Sanchez, the 42 of Dylan Alt, the 7 of Dalton Cowden, the 12 of Matt Burgess in P6, the 2 of Robert Collins is 7, the 17 of Travis Massia is 8th, Tommy Bordeaux's dropped all the way back to 9th after being in the lead at that caution. The 41 of Brandon Bennett is in 10th, and the 11th place car is Jay Shallington in a 3, with Thomas Harmon being 1 lap down in 12th position. See, Steve wants to race the pace car there a little bit as the lights go out and we start to get ready for the restart here. And I think we're going to watch this restart from the right front suspension of Jaron Sanchez. Because the start will be on Steve. And Steve is off and away. Great start by Steve, commanding the lead of the race. It sounds like Jaron might have missed a shift there, which invites Dylan Alt to take him on the outside and demote Jaron back down into 4th. As our right front camera there just melted through the wall, which is a bit weird. We're back on Steve. As you see, Jaron got into the wall a little bit there on the exit of 2. The 70 of Dylan Canova has gone wide on the entry, is there to turn 3 as well, which invites Dylan up to his inside. Puts Dylan into the 2nd position.
And it also looks like Dylan's got a very fast car at the moment. He's looking at the times. He's significantly faster. Except Steve.
Well, Dylan does indeed have a rocket ship under that bum of his. Let's see if he can catch up to Steve and try and get around him. It's not going to be easy. As I alluded to earlier, Steve is not one who is easily passed, especially when he has the lead.
He will fight you tooth and nail for that position.
But it's a little bit early at the moment to go hammer and tongs at it, as we just completed lap number 50 with only 40 laps to go on this race. I bet Thomas will be hoping for another fairly early caution, so that way he can get his lap back and try and make his way back up through the field. But at the moment it is all Steve Turner and Dylan Alt. Dylan has gained a little bit of time there on Steve and dragged a 70 of Dylan Canova with him there. They're closing in right on the back of Steve now. Steve's got to be starting to feel a little bit nervous, especially with the way that these two are racing each other last week. Dylan is right there, just hounding the bumper of Steve, hoping that Steve can make one little mistake so he can get that inside run on him and take the lead of this motor race. Steve takes a slightly defensive line out of turn 4 there. Not something you usually see. And Dylan's got the run now. Can he get his nose up there? He does. Can Dylan get this pass made? Steve holding strong on the outside line there.
Dylan a little bit wiggly.
And he's got the position done. And Steve does the cutback to get straight back underneath Dylan. This is an amazing motor race right now. Dylan, not used to being on the outside of turn 1, hangs a little bit too far out wide and loses everything that he gained there, and is in fact at risk of the 70 getting underneath him as well. But Dylan comes back with the counter attack again, going into turn number 1. Steve got a little bit loose coming off of turn 2 there. But in the end that helped him. That helped him get back down to the low line so he can defend against Dylan. Dylan's on the outside now. What can Dylan do from that position? He dives it in deep to try and get a run going. Doesn't quite have what it takes to get it done.
Gets in the wall a little bit. Doesn't lose any momentum.
It does not appear so, as he pulls back up to the side of Steve. And he's in the wall going on to the entry of turn 1 there. That's 60 laps complete, 30 to go. And we have a race on our hands here, ladies and gentlemen. And Dylan's gotten the lead. That high line was enough for Dylan to get the lead, as Steve spooked the 70 of Dylan Canova there. Too many Dylans in one little space.
Spelled differently.
It looks like Steve settled back down into second place in front of Dylan Canova and behind Dylan Alt.
He's in a Dylan sandwich.
And that's not where he wants to be. He wants to be in front of the first Dylan, not the second Dylan. I hope you guys have a grip on your heart pills very closely, because that was an incredible race for the lead right there. Good job on the guys driving these cars, keeping it as clean as they did. Especially after all the saltiness that we experienced last week between these guys. And by the looks of things, we also have a move done back a little bit. The 57's gotten around Jaron in the 4. So it looks like Tommy Bordeaux's making his march back to the front of this field after restarting in P9. If Tommy gets up to these leading guys, what can he do?
I think even we will have to grab our heart pulse at the same time.
Well, I tell you what, folks, if this doesn't turn you on and you don't have a switch, this is some absolutely amazing racing going on here. This is why I love short track racing. It brings out the best and the worst in everyone in all the right ways. As we see, Dylan is starting to take a commanding lead of this race. He did the fastest time for that lap with a 21.717 compared to Steve's 21.793. And Tommy's even starting to pull away from the 5th place Jaron Sanchez now. As we start lap 70 of 90, we almost have 20 laps to go. We'll make that 20 and a half as they come across the back straight here. Very quick pace in this race. It's taken absolutely no time at all to get it done. As Dylan got a little bit wobbly there coming onto the back straight. Looks like he might have lost a little bit of time to Steve. And it looks like Dylan Canova is starting to really harass Steve a little bit. And at the end of the day, this will be a good points haul for Steve, especially with Thomas being down in 12th and Tommy being back in 4th. And Dylan's made a mistake. I think he might have gotten in the wall off turn 4. Steve is right there on him again.
Here we go again, ladies and gentlemen. This will be a fight to the end.
This won't just be a fight, this will damn near be a death match. And Steve cuts down the corner a little bit to try and get a better run on the inside, and he is there on the inside, and he's taken the lead back, but can he hold it? Dylan's got that run on the outside at the line. It's Dylan just in front of Steve by a whisker. These guys battling up the front has invited Tommy to close in the gap on them a little bit. It's gone from 3 seconds to 2 seconds in just a matter of laps, and Dylan gets into the wall again. Steve is in the lead of this race. Dylan Alt is slipping back. He's in the wall again.
He might have damaged one of his suspension arms by the looks of it, because he just keeps going into the wall.
I dare say he might have. We'll have to keep an eye on him for the rest of the race, because he is going to be dropping like a rock. He's going to be under threat from the 5th place Jaron Sanchez right now. As we go back to looking at our new leader of Steve Turner, with Dylan Canova right behind him, and Tommy Bordeaux has made his way back up into 3rd. Looks like things are starting to calm down a little bit again, but we are coming up to get the 10 to go in just a couple of laps. People towards the back are going to start pushing really hard really soon. We might even end up with a late race caution, which will condense the field and make the last 10 laps very exciting. As we start lap 79 of 90. And Tommy is making a move for the 3rd position there. For 2nd position, I'm sorry. And he gets it done on the inside. That was smooth as silk, as good as you'll ever see it. And Dylan Alt has officially dropped back into 5th position. Jaron is up into P4. And right behind them is the lap down car Thomas Harmon, who has been absolutely trucking along. If he was on the lead lap, he would be up into P6. As we now have 10 laps to go in this race, can Tommy hold off Dylan Canova? And can Steve stay mistake-free for the rest of this race?
And get first win of the season.
Steve has been so close so many times, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. As we come around, there's 8 laps to go this time at the line. Steve does a 22.195. Tommy Bordeaux beat him in times there, but Thomas Harmon has the better time for that lap with a 22.020. It looks like Dylan has pulled into the pits. He is 2 laps down now. That is going to dash his hopes. He's just here running for wins because he started so late in the season. And it's hard to see the young man doing so bad. But this does promote everyone up a position. See, Steve has quite the comfortable lead coming to the line with 5 laps to go. He's got 1 second over second place Tommy Bordeaux, who just can't seem to get the speed together to try and catch up to him. Dylan Canova still comfortably in 3rd, Jaron Sanchez in 4th, Brandon Bennett in 5th, Matt Burgess in P6, Travis Massier in 7th, Robert Collins in 8th, Dylan Cowden in 9th, Jay Shellington in 10th, Thomas Harmon 1 lap down in 11th, and Dylan Alt looks like he's unfortunately going to be our only DNF of this race so far in 12th position. As we come up with 3 laps to go now, looks like Steve has this one absolutely just wrapped up with a nice little pretty bow. As long as he can stay cool, calm and calculated for the last 2 laps of this race, he will have this race wrapped up around his little pinky finger. And he is coming up to the back of the lapped car of Jay Shellington, but I don't think that's going to mean too terribly much to him. Jay pulls down low to get out of the way of Steve as he comes up to start the last lap of this race. Coming down the back straight for the last time through 3 and 4. Ladies and gentlemen, your winner for round number 10 of the Output Racing League, Steve Turner. P2 goes to Tommy Bordeaux. P3 is Dylan Canova. P4 is the Jaron Sanchez. P5, Brandon Bennett. P6 goes to Matt Burgess into 12. P7 is Travis Massier. P8 is the 2 of Robert Collins. P9 is the 7 of Dalton Cowden in his debut for this race. P10 is Jay Shellington in the 3. P11 is Thomas Harmon, and unfortunately P12 goes to Dylan Alt, who retired with 10 laps to go in this race. See, Steve is doing his victory burnout. Alrighties, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go take a quick break now. We will be back with our winners and our grinners. So make sure you stick around. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with our third place getter, the number 70 of Dylan Canova. Dylan, man, you only run a very limited schedule with us, but you have proven to be one of the fast guys that we've got to watch out for. How was your race?
It was good. We started off and we're struggling there on that first run, and they got up in the fence, and thankfully that caution came out at a pretty good time. Actually, kind of messed me up a little bit. I was planning on doing a green flag stop and kind of short pitting, but it ended up working out because we were able to get that damage fixed, and then the car really came alive in that second run early. But towards the end, we just got a little too tight. Couldn't quite run with those guys.
Yeah, well, talk to us a little bit about, just how hard it is to run the car, especially immediately after you've run into the wall, because I imagine it can't be too easy.
No, it's a lot of it's mental too. Once you hit the wall, you start thinking the car's not handling right. You start overdriving or trying to compensate for what you think the car is doing with that damage. But it actually wasn't too bad. We didn't fall off, but maybe a tenth or two.
Now, after that restart, you were having a really wicked battle with Steve and Dylan Alt there. How was that from your perspective?
Oh man, that was fun to watch. I wish we could have got up there and got by them, but I didn't want to push the issue since I'm not running for points. I definitely didn't want to take any of those guys out. I was just hoping to maybe capitalize on one of their.
Yeah, man, that's completely understandable. Capitalizing on mistakes is one of the bread and butter things about motor racing, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I've been on the receiving end of that and the beneficiary side of that. So sometimes it works out better. Sometimes you end up being the guy that kicks yourself for making.
Well, sometimes you're the bat and sometimes you're the ball, and I'd much rather be the bat.
Oh yeah, for sure, especially around these little short tracks like Rich.
Alright, man, is there anyone you'd like to thank while we got you here in the booth?
Yeah, I'd like to thank my team, Barbecue Motorsports. They've worked me a lot here, getting better in the A and the B cars. And then I got to thank Randy's Wraps, who sponsors my car. Sadly, I didn't have the scheme on tonight, but he does my late models.
Alrighty, no worries, man. Thank you very much for your time, and hopefully we'll see you next week.
Hopefully. Thank you for having me.
Alrighty, guys, so that was the 70 of Dylan Canova coming in P3 there. And now for a guy that we greatly missed last week due to a less than average performance, but he's back up in the top group today, the number 57 of Tommy Bordeaux. Tommy, man,
Hey, Corey.
welcome back to the top three. We missed you last week.
I missed you too. Last week was just one of those weird off weeks. Not a great points day for the TommyBordeaux.com Ford Mustang, but yeah, today was a great day for us overall. I mean, you can't complain too much about the final finish. Made some mistakes there that kind of cost me the win, but overall a good points day nonetheless.
Well, speaking of mistakes that cost you the win, what happened in that caution during the pit stop cycle? Because you went into the pits in the lead, and all of a sudden, coming to the green, you're in ninth.
Yeah, Corey, it was the most bizarre thing. Of course, with iRacing's new update today, I got into the server and my frames were about at 45 to 50. So I put my settings down, my graphics settings down. So I was getting good frames once again, 90 or so. And well, at that point, I didn't know this at the time, but it also turned off all my pit objects. So I had no pit crew, no pit box, didn't know where to stop. So yeah, I had to come back in again to find my stall, and lost a lot of time. By that point, as I went through the field, I didn't have enough for Steve at the end there. But boy, what a great race by him! He did a great job doing what he needs to do to keep in this championship. But overall, man, just relieved to get second out of all that. I maximized where I could be, even with my mistakes. So just 2 races left. It's going to be a very close finish here.
Well, that was definitely a very strong fight back from the ninth position. We were just commenting on that while we were off in the ad break there, and the way that you were able to get back up and into the second position, that was absolutely magical.
Yeah, it felt like magic. The car felt like magic all night long. I was lucky to lead the most laps just by 2, so Steve and I are going to stay even in the points at the top. And I'll tell you what, Corey, it's coming down to the nitty-gritty, and for the TommyBordeaux.com team, Things are pretty stressful, but I'm really excited to bring it to the fans and show them that I'm ready to go back to back in these championships.
Alright, so speaking of the last two events, we've got Auto Club and Chicagoland coming up. How do you reckon you're going to run at both of them?
Auto Club's one of those tracks that I can cross my fingers and say, yeah, I think I'll do okay. But at the end of the day, I do struggle with those big 2 mile tracks like that. Uh, so that'll be just getting through that one. And then Chicagoland is another 1.5 miler, and I feel really strong on those. And that's really where my program's been strong this whole year. So if I can capitalize on a solid Chicago day and just get through Auto Club, I think I'm going to be just fine with the points. And I'm really looking forward to hopefully going back to back on these championships.
Alrighty, man. Now I know there's a lot of people that you want to thank, and you got to thank them double for not being here last week. So let us know, who do you have to thank?
Yeah, absolutely. Two-time thank you to everybody watching at home. Of course, everyone from Fast watching, all my buddies there. Austin Hakes, my teammate, Joseph Weaver as well. You guys for putting on the broadcast. You do a great job. Jaron for putting on an awesome league. Congratulations to Steve for the win tonight and everyone else in the field for a great race. Oh, quick apology to Thomas Harmon. I know we got together really early. He got in the wall and I couldn't slow down in time, but I know he'll be up front next week anyway. But yeah, great race tonight, and thanks to everyone on the TommyBordeaux.com supporters. Go check out the website, Best on the Net. Thank you, guys.
Alright, thank you very much, Tommy. We'll see you next week for Auto Club. So that was our second position getter, back up in the top three, Tommy Bordeaux. Coming up now, we have one of the most exciting people to watch. He's always got an opinion, and we always love to hear it. Our winner for this event, finally a winner in this event, the number 13 of Steve Turner.
Hey, hey.
Steve, you finally got that breakthrough victory for the season, man. This is going to be a good points haul. You just missed out on leading the most laps, but you were damn close. How was the race from your perspective?
We were real good in practice. Got off the truck and just had instant speed. Then didn't have near as much grip as I thought I was going to in qualifying. Kind of messed that up. Started about mid-pack. But after, I think, 4 laps, we were in second or third place already. So I knew we had a car to contend for a win. And Tommy had the misfortune on pit road, and that just pretty much gave us the win. Because by the time he got up to me, he had nothing left and couldn't get around me.
Now, we did notice that on that restart, you were having an amazing battle there with Dylan, and even with the 70 car of Dylan Canova. How was that like from your perspective? Because it was close, hard, fast racing with many switchbacks.
Yeah, that was like 10, 20 laps, it felt like, just kind of swapping the lead back and forth. Real good, clean racing. I know last week Dylan kind of had some issues and kind of made people mad, but he redeemed himself in my book as far as racing goes this week. He raced me clean. He raced me hard. Had a lot of fun out there. We just able to keep the right side of the car clean where he wasn't and come out with a victory tonight.
Yeah, he actually ended up DNFing with about 10 laps to go because once he got into the wall once, it just looked like he became a magnet to it. So, in saying that, how hard is it to keep it off the walls here? Because I showed the viewers at home like just how difficult it is, but I want the driver perspective of doing the 90 lap race. How hard was it like, especially on the older tires?
Yeah, so the beginning of the run, you had lots of grip. You could really drive it off the corner. Then about the middle of the run, it would start to get loose. And then right towards the end of the run, it got real tight, and you had no grip off the corner, so you had to really lay off the throttle and just kind of let it roll and not hit the wall, which we got lucky never did.
Alright, awesome. And are you excited for these final 2 races of the season at Auto Club in Chicago? I mean, the battle for the championship lead is very close between you and Tommy. I think you're almost even on points.
Yeah, Tommy and I actually were just talking about that before he got pulled in for his interview, that he's not very good at Auto Club, and I don't think I've ever ran there in the B car. So these next 2 races, I mean, he's really got to make a mistake for me to catch him in points, but anything can happen. We'll look forward to the next 2 weeks and see if we can pull a championship out.
Alrighty, man. And while we got you here, we've also got another big announcement to make. Steve Turner is also the hard charger for the race, ladies and gentlemen. Going from 7th to get the win.
All right, awesome.
So you are now actually in the running for the end of season $5 bonus for that. I don't. I know you probably didn't expect it, but how do you feel knowing that you're in the running for that now?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I knew it was going to be close between myself and Jaron for that award, but that's awesome that we got that, and we got a W on top of it. So if I didn't have to work tomorrow, we go celebrate. But we're gonna go take a shower, hit the bed, and get ready for work.
Well, to let you know how close it was, if he'd finished one position further up, you guys would have tied for it, but you would have gotten it because of the win.
Wow, that's awesome.
Alrighty, man. Well, while we got you in here and in the celebratory mood, who do you have to thank for helping you out to race here tonight?
Give a shout out to Jaron putting the league on, and he was actually coaching me through the last few laps in Discord. Shout out you for broadcasting the race, and then everybody over on the Twitch channel that watched all through the night. Shout out to Devin Booth on Twitch. He just rated the channel with 19 viewers, so shout out to his Twitch channel. Have a good night, everybody. We'll see you next Tuesday at Auto Club.
Alrighty, thank you very much for your time, Steve. Good luck next week. And ladies and gentlemen, this will actually end our broadcast now. I would like to thank you all for coming out. It's been an absolutely awesome race. Lots of close, hard, fast racing. For myself and for Brogan Picker Norris, I'm signing out. And we will catch you guys next week at the Auto Club Speedway.